little bit of sense why the score ended up being what it was, or at least the result ended up being what it was.
Bad time to play your worst game of the playoffs. But, I always say this, Kyle, and this is another thing you've heard me say on this podcast. If you're a good team, momentum doesn't have to carry over. It doesn't. And Edmonton's a good team. This is not, the Stanley Cup final is not total goals. It's 2-1. And there's another game on Thursday night that you have to win. I'll say one thing about McDavid, and I kind of got this impression from him post-game. Overall, as bad as this game was for the Oilers, overall, he's noticeably calmer at the start of this series as opposed to the start of the one a year ago. I still think that's good for Edmonton. He's got to keep that calmness, and he's got to get more from everybody else around him. I think Edmonton came back last year when they stopped feeling the pressure and stopped squeezing the sticks and just said, let's be calm like we have to be when we're at our best, and let's play hockey. And they got back into the series. As stressful as this was, they have to be calm. They have to clear their minds. They have to be zen. They have to hit nirvana in their meditation over the next 48 hours. You can't come in frustrated against these guys. You won't win. You've got to have a plan, and no matter what happens, you got to stick to the plan. And one thing these guys have to do is they have to get a lead, and they have to keep it for a while. That's one thing they really haven't done a lot of in this series.
So true. So true. Okay, one element of the silliness I did want to bring up was Jake Wallman and the water bottle after his glove was deposited in the Florida bench. Only because I'll give you credit, you had a great line about if Brian Boucher, who was between the benches for TNT on Monday night, if his shower in the presidential suite at his hotel wasn't working, then he at least got a bit of a rinse off there during that exchange. Stick taps to you, my friend.
The whole thing was funny. Wallman has really been a presence, and you got a sense that those Panther guys really wanted a piece out of him. Like he's one of the few Oilers that has really gotten on their nerves, probably for the taunt of Nosek on the penalty in Game 1. There are plenty of examples of players who've been fined for that water bottle squirting from the bench, right? Jamie Benn was a recent guy it happened to, for example. So I wonder if Wallman gets the slap on the wrist fine on one of these days off.
Yeah, plenty of time to...
Maybe he thought Boucher or Greer or whoever it was looked a little bit overheated.
Just trying to cool them off. Boucher at one point's like, all right, knock it off. Come on. The look he was giving him was hilarious. That was so good.
He wanted to fight Wallman too.
Yeah, exactly.
So Chris Knobloch said post-game, no decision yet on who starts Game 4. Who are you starting?
Yeah, I'm going back to Skinner here in this case. And not just because he was kind enough to give us an interview before the final started. But I think, and listening to him
Pickard
post-game
was pretty good.
Sure.
The more I watched Pickard, the more I thought about it, but
you know what you're getting.
Skinner, yes.
For sure. You know what you're getting in Pickard. The guy battles his rear end off anytime he's in there. And he's had a hand in the Oilers being where they're at right now. But I thought the way Skinner handled his media post-game, as he's always done, wasn't running from anything. I think that'll play a role in allowing himself to reset before, along with everybody else. And he's your guy. He's your guy. And I'm sure there's a couple he's looking at going, I wish I would have done this a little differently. But this was not a case of, boy, the Oilers get one or two more saves, it's a different outcome. They were just outclassed in far more areas than that here in game number 3.
One other thing I wanted to mention from this game, some Oilers fans sent me some angry DMs because I praised the play by Barkov that took Klingberg into the official. And I can understand why Klingberg was upset. You never want that to happen, especially when seconds later the puck is in your net and it's a massive goal. But I had a player specifically reach out to me to say that Barkov deserves praise because he knew exactly what he was doing. He used the boards and the official to trap Klingberg. It's like a basketball trap where you not only do you defend the player with the ball, but you try to trap him in the corner so that the baseline and the sideline become added defenders. He said that Barkov knew exactly what he was doing when he did that. And he said that that's why he's winning the Selke every year, because he knew exactly what he was doing, and he used the official to help make that turnover on Klingberg.
Interesting. And one other thing here, Elliot, I don't know if you had anything further to add on the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins situation. Obviously, it was a game-time decision. He played just over 15 and a half minutes. I know the third period was what it was. Also, he didn't take any face-offs in Game 3.
Yeah.
He had been taking some draws the first two games, and of course earlier in the playoffs.
It's good that you pointed that out, and thanks for reminding me. Like, he went on the ice at the end of the morning skate, and you could tell he was playing the puck a bit daintily, right? This is clearly some sort of hand-wrist thing.
So, along with 2 days off, likely benefiting the Oilers to reset, very much so for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as he continues to battle his way through. Okay, Elliot, every now and then on this podcast, as you know, some quirky, outlandish, sometimes thoughtful suggestions for rule changes, maybe for the sport at the NHL level, come across the desk. This time, not from us, though. It sounds like some players that have been following along throughout the playoffs, and particularly the Stanley Cup Final, have some ideas about some changes that could be made to the game flow.
Yes, Kevin Bieksa came up to me after Game 2, and he said there were some players who made some suggestions for the podcast about rules changes that they would like to consider or discuss after watching Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. And the first one was, if you ice the puck 5 times in one period, after that, delay of game penalty. The players felt there were too many icings in Game 2. Thoughts?
Wow. So now it's like not being able to change is not enough of a punishment. Players are too fit now for that to be a punishment. That needs to go a step further is what we're getting at. I don't mind that one.
I actually like the second one better. So here it is. This was the player's suggestion. Now, by the way, I would just like to say to Ron Hainsey from the Players Association, if he thinks the podcast has a stupid idea, he will text me and say, "You are an idiot." If you don't like these ones, Ron, it's the players, not me. This is it. The players suggested, and I like this one, that if you're playing defense in the D zone and your stick breaks and your team ices the puck, you should not be allowed to go to the bench and get a new stick. When play resumes, you should still be without one, and you shouldn't be able to go back